One thing I've noticed throughout the last 6-7 years that I've been able to meet very successful people, network with them, befriend them, enter these high-level social circles, is that rich people, successful people, or people who are financially free, whatever you want to call them, they are way more spiritual than middle lower class people. This is a generalization, of course, there's exceptions to the rule, but in the modern world, and more specifically in Western society, this is what we're talking about here, I've seen this a lot. And when I say more spiritual, I mean it in very deep and intricate ways. Not just that they read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, or whatever. Like, yeah, for sure, they did all of those things. But they like to go deep into these topics, down the rabbit hole. And many of them have this deep attraction towards the more esoteric side of spirituality and religions and the metaphysical side of life. Like, they're very interested in non-conventional theories and perspectives of it all. In fact, it's very interesting because I would say they're actually very, very, very open-minded and non-judgmental about whatever theories or beliefs you or other people have, even if they are completely different from the ones that they hold, because they just love to explore these topics. And for many of them, actually, this becomes a core part of their lives, to the point that even some of them, the end goal of all they do is to fuel this spiritual side of life. Like, that's the core thing they focus on. Now, the reason why this happens is very obvious if you just spend like 5 seconds thinking about it. It's because once you're more financially free, you're not stressed or anxious anymore about lower level preoccupations or your survival needs. It's basically like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which this is the version that most people know. But in fact, something that a lot of people don't know is that Maslow, before he died, he suggested an extra level, one that is higher above self-actualization, which he called self-transcendence. All of these, in reality, if you think about it, they are ego needs. And once you've completed all of them, that's when you start to be able to peek behind the curtain, and you can see that spiritual awakening and finding your soul or your divine purpose is just around there. And what happens is that once you are done with this, the part of your brain that's in charge of keeping you afloat and helping you survive and all of these things, it can finally relax. And it's not on red alert anymore and not ringing the alarms like, hey, we need money, we need food, we have to survive or otherwise we're not gonna make it. That part basically turns off, or it doesn't play such a big role. And then other parts of your brain can start to come in. And now your attention, which is the absolute key of it all, is free to flow there, which is basically this, because there isn't that much to be done left here. And one thing that I've noticed throughout my entire life is the fluctuation of interest that I've had on these spiritual topics based on my external situation. The times in my life when I was preoccupied with low-level things that for the most part involve survival and safety, I wasn't thinking about existential and spiritual topics that much. And if I was, it was at a very superficial level. You know, the sort of thing that when you're a job that you don't like and you're tired and things aren't going the way you would like them to go, and you just think to yourself like, man, what is the meaning of life? What is this? Is this actually worth living? Like, yeah, for sure, you're somewhat pondering on it, but because it's intertwined with all these survival emotions right here, you don't go that deep into it, even if it seems like it, because your primitive and survival part of your brain is just like kicking in, and that's where most of your attention flows. But then the times in my life, especially when I started to make really good money and I looked at how much I had made, and I thought to myself like, man, with all the money that I have right now, I could literally do nothing for 3-4 years, like zero income, and I could be okay because I have enough to survive for that long. And it was when that started to happen that I truly went deep into these topics, but exploring them further than ever before, way deeper than I ever thought it was even possible. And that's when you try to get into trying to figure out the deep meaning that lies behind all religious scriptures and how religions interconnect with each other. You dive deep into ancient religions and what they truly represent, the symbolism, the meaning hidden behind the meaning, and going deeper and deeper and deeper into the iceberg. Which, for example, I found this one about Buddhism. And this is very true, right? Like, most people know these things about Buddhism, meditation, karma, reincarnation, nirvana, right? But then you start to get into it and it's like, oh, levitation and the hidden temples and time-bending sutras and astral projection and chakra hacking, enlightenment pills. Buddha was an alien, samsara is a simulation. Okay, that's the good one. Okay, join my community if you want to find out more about that one. Link in the description. But all of these things that I'm talking about, it reminds me of one thing that Naval Ravikant said. Here you have him right here, which he said, to be happy, you don't need to be rich, but still, let's get you rich first, and then we will get you happy. It is much easier that way. And I think it's the same with spirituality and all of those things. It is much easier and fun to explore when you are not worrying about all of these low-level things. But one thing that I've seen happen a lot, and a lot of people do this, is that people try to skip all of these because they actually cannot figure out how to make money, for example, or how to get in shape, or how to have good, loving relationships. So what they do is that they try to jump directly here, and to justify that they don't have these things, the lower levels, they just jump straight ahead into this philosophy of like, oh, but actually nothing matters and reality is an illusion and money is actually nothing. But many of them, they just do that out of pure cope. They're just checking out of the game early as a way to justify their lack of capacity to win. So be very aware of yourself. Do not lie to yourself. I'm not saying it is not possible to do that, to jump straight ahead to the spiritual realization and all of those things. It is possible. Some people do it. But as Naval was saying, it is way, way harder to do it that way. And also, like, honestly, you can achieve these things. You can figure out how to be healthy, how to be financially free, how to have good relationships, and then go into the super fun an exciting spiritual side of life. And that's actually what my whole channel on YouTube is about. Sharing my experiences on how to build a healthy body, a thriving business, a good social circle of friends, and a romantic partner. And then exploring all of these fascinating topics of spirituality and life and existence. So if you're interested in that, go watch some of my other videos, subscribe, and visit my website because I have something very special that I think might help you. Okay, so go do all of that. But for now, that is it. Take care, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.